How would you make this in medium?
Episode 2, Tyre Treads. And this tutorial was requested by Jan Howe, who is an excellent medium sculptor. You should check out his work.
These videos will probably be slightly longer than my usual videos because they are quite technical and I go through the entire process. Nothing is skipped. Okay guys, so to begin with, we're just going to import these images. Now you can see they're off-road tyres. It's that simple. I think these actually might be for a toy, but that's not really the point. What we're making here is an impression of a tyre. Anyway, we're not making something super realistic here because this is medium. If you want to make something super realistic with this level of precision, you'd be using a different program. Okay, so we're making an impression of this tyre, and I'm going to quickly show you the way to make an impression of this tyre. It's a method of thinking. We have to look at a design and we have to break it down into manageable little pieces. Okay, so there's two things I'm looking at here. First off, it's a torus, right? This is basically a big donut, okay? And then each of these little pieces, they're all repeat patterns. They're all the same. There are two pieces here. One is very, very slightly different from the other. So we're looking at them as that's a repeat of this, is a repeat of this, is a repeat of this. And then we have this little tiny part here that's different. Now, there's a tiny piece of maths involved here in that we have a 360 degrees and we have each of these little parts. Now, the question is, how big is each of those gaps? Now, we can kind of round it out. And again, like I say, we're making an impression. We're not doing something exact. So I'm looking here going 1, 2, 3. 3 of them fit in a quarter, okay? So we're saying each of these little notches is 30 degrees. From here to here is 30 degrees. Each one of these is taking up 15 degrees, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to produce one little piece of tread that takes up 15 degrees. It's that simple, and then we're going to repeat it around. So let's just get to that. So first off, I'm going to pick the little torus shape, okay? And we're going to switch on grid and angle snap, and we're going to find the origin of this space. So let's switch on our grid. My origin's floating away up there for some reason, okay? And I'm going to up the res on that because that's too low. Let's go for 4 to start with, okay? And I'm also going to adjust my grid, make it just a little bit smaller because we're going to need it. Okay, and I'm going to up that to meet that grid that we've upraised approximately. I'm not going to be exact about this. Right, that was not my bad. Put it to single so we don't get any scaling artifacts, and also change the color to something less obnoxious than that white, and then just one single click. I apologize, I'm on my small machine today and it's a bit slower, so bear with me. Okay, so I've made that one. I'm just going to duplicate that layer again. I do this a lot, and I'm just going to erase what's on it. It gives me the same resolution without having to go through the rigmarole again. It's just a different rigmarole. Okay, we're going to call this first one, we're going to call it Tyre Proxy, just so that we can track them through the scene manager, no other reason. Okay, and we're going to call this one Single Tread. Okay, now what we need to know is we need to know what is 15 degrees. Okay, so what we're also going to do, we're going to add a new sculpt layer, and we're going to place a cube, and I'm going to place a cube. Oh, it's not going to place a cube, that's going to try and erase it from nothing. Okay, so there we've got a cube, and I'm going to adjust it so that it's just below that grid. There we go, that'll do. And then I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to rotate it 15 degrees. You notice when I bring this out, I move it away from the manipulators. Oftentimes these manipulators get in the way here, so if you put it out into open space, I want it on that one, there we go, 15 in here. There we go. And then I'm going to lift it up. Now where we need this to line up is right on that line there. We need to line it up in the center to get our 15 degree wedge. Now this is our 15-degree wedge. Now what we can do, I mean, there's various different ways that we could actually merge this to show us where our wedge is. Now, this one I find is really quite simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the tire, and then I'm going to merge these two together, and then I'm going to subtract. Okay, so isolate that, and that gives us the little wedge. This is, and I'm going to fill that a really obnoxious colour, probably a really deep red or a really obnoxious green. It doesn't really matter as long as it's obviously visible. Switch off grid and angle snap. There we go. And now when we bring the other ones back, this is the size that we have to fit our little repeat pattern into. Okay, so that's us got the size that we can work within to make one of these treads. Now we have here basically what each of those treads looks like, and we're just going to produce just one of them within this space. Now you can see here obviously that they're offset in a massive way. You know, the middle part is much lower than the upper part. Apologies. But this wedge itself fits within this 15 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to produce this as a straight thing that fits within the 15 degrees, and then we're going to bend it, knowing that all of the repeats of it as we produce them are going to be bent the exact same because they're all repeats, obviously. So we fit it within the 15 and then we bend it. It's a strangely important thing that comes up time and time again when you're 3D modeling. The order of operation makes a huge difference in what you get out at the end, and a lot of that takes practice just to know what you're actually going to be doing first, you know. So let's just do that. Now the thing is, I mean, I'm saying bending. We could draw it on directly, but I just feel that we're more likely to stick within our 15-degree budget if we make it first and then bend it, and know which size each of the pieces is going to be and that it will work at those sizes. Let's just go on and do that. So I'm just going to copy this shape, more or less, except it's a flat. So I'm going to put on plane so that we can cover a distance, and let's try and pick a depth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make it a little bit deeper than it needs to be so that it can sit inside, and we've got a little bit of leeway before it breaches the surface, because probably at the end we'll merge them down, and if we're merging them down we want them touching, obviously. Now I said the 15 degrees. The 15 degrees is actually for this part and the air gap, and then that next one with the air gap, that's another 15 degrees. So we're looking at how much of this, how much with this and this taken into account, how much of the space is the tread taken up as opposed to the space, the actual gap rather, to not confuse you too much. I'm thinking it's about here. Okay, so let's go down and make that. We need to put it to not single, continuous. Okay, and I'm going to up this res because this really needs to be much higher res. When you start bending things with the move tool, they lose their definition very quickly if you haven't got enough resolution. So let's just making sure we have enough resolution. And now I'm going to use this little cylinder here, and I'm going to lock it on angle snap. I'm going to cut a little bit of the character of that shape into this. You know, we've gone too high res. This machine cannot handle that. Okay, and this bit has a couple of steps in it, so let's just keep that bit. Take a wee step there, and then another wee step here at the end. There we go. Like I say, this isn't exact. We're not worried about exactitude here. It's not. We're just trying to make an impression. I'm going to keep saying that, and you guys are going to get bored of me keeping saying that. It's my excuse for doing a sloppy job, let's face it. Chamfer the corners here, just so that they're not 90 degrees. Very rarely, especially things molded in rubber, are ever going to be sharp 90-degree corners like that. So that'll do. That's exactly what I'm thinking this tread is shaped like. It's probably a little too small in height there. We want that to be a bit chunkier. So having noticed that, I mean, I could go in and draw more, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to move on. I'm going to go to square, 100% inner radius here. We've got angle snap still on. I'm going to have to switch on the grid to get this. Okay, and we need to up those numbers of grids. I've restarted. My little boy came in while I was recording the last time, and I had to stop. Okay, so we're going to up these subdivisions. Let's go with 9. See how that'll do for us. And if we grab and move that, you'll see we take a massive step up because it's on strength 50, sorry. So if we drop that to say 10, let's try 10. Okay, I'm going with that. So we've got 3/4 tread to 1/4 air gap. Okay, and then I'm going to switch off the grid snap. I'm going to switch off the angle snap just now as well. I'm going to go to capsule. Now, this just needs to be bent down. I'm sizing this up so that it doesn't touch the edge here, but entirely covers, from here to here. This is going to be a gentle gradient when we move it down, and it's a capsule so as it gets the full depth of the tool. Sorry, tool, too much ZBrush there. So as it gets the full depth of the layer. Size it up a wee bit. Oh, sorry, I've still got 100% strength. That's clearly not right. Inner radius, rather. Right, inner radius 0. Grab and move. Okay, talking something like that. I think that's fine. I had the strength there a little low, actually. Probably want it a bit more than that, but that gives me a nice steady hand. For this next piece, though, I want it to wrap right around the tyre, so I'm going to put it up 45. That should be good enough. Same again, just grab the bit that we want, rotate it round gently. I'm going to do this in 2 moves. So there's 1, and I'm going to size it down. You can see here there's a weird little scoop there. I don't want that. That's not right. So size it down for that little scoop. Grab and rotate that round to bed it in more believably. Okay, and I think that part also has to get a little bend on it as well. I'm not trying to keep going on about it. It's just an impression. I'm not trying to get the exact thing. We're just trying to make it look, oh look, it looks a bit like a tyre. I'm going to pull that out because that tread is getting a little too thin there, I think. I'm going to push it in here because it's getting a little too fat. There, I'm going to put on angle snap to give us the 90 degrees here. For very gentle moves like that, you can see I'm pushing right from the edge of the capsule, so it's both a very small setting, well it's 45, but it's hardly moving it at all, but that's what we want. We want super subtle moves. be aware that if you have this at a very low resolution, as we do that, this will slowly melt away to nothing. So that's why we had a higher resolution. But we're looking at that. We're done here on that, right? And then we're going to select that single thread. We're going to duplicate it, and we're going to manipulation, rotate, and it's going to be no, no, no. Why have you moved? Okay, I have made a mistake. I don't know why the point of that rotation's around there. It shouldn't be around there. It should be around the same point as that, which is the middle. No. Right, okay, we can do something about that because that's not right. That I was hoping if you make the single thread from the same donut, if you just duplicate that and delete the donut, then your point of rotation is around the center. I guess I must have forgotten to do that. So let's look at how I can fix it. I want it to rotate around this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my single thread, I'm going to make it a child of this proxy, okay? And then when we rotate, we're rotating around the point of the tire, okay? So you see, there we go, and that's what we want. So we need to move that 15. 15. Clear. 15. Tick. Okay, there we go. And we're going to duplicate. What this is unfortunately doing is it's going to produce hundreds of proxy tires as well as we go, but that's okay because we're going to merge them all down at the end anyway. Duplicate. And this one is just added to that, so it's going to be 30. Okay. And now I'm going to take all those little single threads and I'm going to add them together. You shouldn't need to do this if you're getting a turn on the right part. And I'm going to delete all those proxies out because those are not wanted. I know, do you know what? Let's move these ones out of here and go again with a few more. $75. Okay, and then one more, and that's going to be at 90. So, okay, and that is us with a full quarter. I'm going to take those single proxies out of there, single threads rather, out of there, and I'm going to delete that tire proxy. We don't need it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these single threads, I'm going to merge them down. That's a quarter, so we're going to do that 3 more times. So just duplicate. Ah, of course. We've done one too many. What a silly bun. What a silly boy. Not that it matters. They should line up perfectly. So we'll also duplicate that one. And we're going to rotate that one another 90, which is 180. There we go. And we're going to duplicate that one. And we're going to rotate that another 90, which is 270. Oh, and we're shy. Okay, let's add 15 onto that, which is minus 105. Oh, other way. Okay, so minus 75. There we go. Oh, but we've lost that one. What is going on here? We're out by 15 each time. I should clearly have don't move that. Move the tyre. Right. And what did I say? Minus 15, so that'll be 65. What's going on? You see these problems when you don't work it out on paper first. That's what happens. So let's do it by eye turn that, and then see what number we're closest to. There we go, 165 clearly. And we were right with that one. It was just our eyes were lying to us earlier. So this will be 105. There we go. Apologies for all the shenanigans. That was I should have worked that out before. Okay, so you can see that what we have now, obviously we can get rid of all these Tyre proxies. These threads can all be in the same piece. And these Tyre proxies are just, they're proxies. They're no longer needed. You can delete them. Okay, so now we have four quarters. And what we would do to get the other side is we would simply put them in and, in fact, let's do it. Okay, so let's merge all these guys together. Actions merge. Okay, and then let's see where our mirror plane is just now. I believe it's in exactly the correct place, so just need to take that out, duplicate it to make another one, and then flip. Oh, McGee. When I merged them down, I didn't check where the bounding box was. Let's undo. It's thinking it hasn't brought them back yet. Or do I need to undo one more? Yes, undo one more. Okay. So the problem here is that this bounding box is not centered with the other one. So I'm just going to center bounds. And hopefully that will bring it within the scope. No, it does not. Okay, where's the other one? Center bounds. Center bounds. Now it's not quite doing it. It's closer, but it's still not doing it. So there are two ways we can do it. We could drop by going decrease res and it will make the box bigger, and that would work. But what we can also do, and we'll see if this works, we can paint a little proxy shape. So we're in this one. We can paint it in the furthest corner. Okay, and then we can center the bounds on this. And that has brought this other piece inside the box. So we're going to do that with them all. Center bounds. That one's a bit close. I'm going to do another go. There we go. Bounds are inside. Is that them all? Not this one. There we go. So now when I select them all, you should see that each of the bounds is overlapping. Oh, hang on. One's a bit sketchy. This one, let's center the bounds again. It was a bit too close. Okay, let's select all four. There we go. And you can see that let's call it the confluence because it's a nice word. The confluence of those boxes covers the entirety of the wheel itself. Tyre, not wheel. Okay, covers the entire of the tyre. So if we now press merge, we won't lose any of the pieces to the edge of a box, which just erases them basically. They're just gone forever. Wow, listen to the jet engine there. I think this might actually have killed my little living room machine. Oh dear. No, here we go. Slowly resolving. Ta-da! Wow, perhaps I should have put them down in resolution. I forget just how much weaker this machine is than the one in the office. And I'm just going to tidy up those pieces we used to centre the bounds. Okay, and that's 1/2 of the tread, so I am actually going to decrease this res. It's not because I would ordinarily, it's just because that machine might actually catch fire if I don't. So let's down res that, and then we'll multiply it over to the other side. Okay, so let's take it out of there, and we're just going to duplicate and flip. I should have listened to its warnings about the memory. Okay, and we're talking, that's pretty much as we really need to be worrying about in terms of how we actually make a tire like this. Obviously, the individual profiles will be different, and we can add, you can see it does have these nice sort of webbing things. I mean, I think we could cut them in fairly easily now. Let's call it by eye, but I wouldn't do it by eye. I would make a single line and bend it over the thing so it's a continuous shape, and then subtract it from the tread. But with these ones at this stage, I don't really like the way that that's sitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate out our tire proxy and make that a child. And I'm going to rotate it around, just offset by 15 degrees. I think it'll make a better looking tire at this point, just for what we have here. Right, manipulation, rotate. It's already at 15, let's drop it back to 0. What? I don't know what happened there. Am I moving the wrong thing? Minus 15. I don't understand why that's not. Oh, it's not 15. Sorry, I'm only moving it half. It's 7.5. Wow. Yeah, I've not woke up this morning. There we go. So that is a bit more of an interesting tire, if you ask me. A little bit offset. It looks a bit more like a genuine off-road tire. Not saying theirs doesn't, but with all the extra detail that is on that one, that I'm not going to bore you by doing. Have fun yourself. I'm sure you'll manage. At the end, all I would do is just merge those down. At the very end, I wouldn't do it now, but I'm going to do it now so that you can see that obviously we get the result of a single piece, which obviously the lighting and things works much better on, even here in medium. Oh, wow. Okay, so there we go. You can see that the ambient occlusion now shows up because they're all in the one piece. In actual fact, you can decrease the res now that we've put in the work. It depends on how much resolution you want in your sculpt and how much you want to slow down everything else. I would recommend leaving things that require really high resolutions like this to the very end, because otherwise you're going to bog down your entire sculpt and you're just going to make it more difficult for yourself for no good reason. And get yourself more memory. That helps. And a better graphics card. That also helps. This is my little machine that we use in the living room for very low impact games and watching streaming TV. So I wouldn't recommend one for medium. It does the job, but it's a bit slow, as you can see. Medium taxis it a great deal. Holy moly! Wow. So I hear apparently that locking the layers, dumps the temporary cache, and then unlocking them brings it back, which apparently helps everything run a bit smoother. So there we go. I hope that clears up the whole thing. Even though we had all those missteps as we went along, I think sometimes the missteps provide better learning opportunities than when things run entirely to plan, because if you're following step by step and nothing goes wrong when that guy shows you that step by step, and then everything goes wrong while you try it, then you haven't really learned anything, you just get frustrated. So hopefully seeing that, I run into problems too all the time, but I try and find a way around them. That's what you've got to do. If you run into a problem, find a way around it. All of these methodologies, all of these workflows that I show, I taught myself them. I run into problems using Medium. I want Medium to do the things I want it to do, and I've just poked it and prodded it as hard as I can until it does. So that's kind of what you have to do. You have to see your problems and fight through them, try and make it work for you. And hopefully you get something out the end that's a bit like this. This, like I say, you could go to absolute town on these individual treads before you actually bake them down. And obviously there's more work to be done to actually put the centre of the wheel itself in here and things. But that's not that difficult, not compared to trying to produce something that actually looks vaguely like a off-road wheel here, like that. There's so much more that could be done. This is an outline at best. Do your worst, folks. Go do your worst. Put time and effort into these, and I'm sure you'll get better results than this. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll speak to you next time.